Have you ever looked at your monthly statement and realized there's an invisible leak in your finances that you just can't seem to find? It's that nagging feeling that despite working hard and making a decent income, your net worth isn't moving the needle as fast as it should. Most people think the solution is just making more money or cutting back on lattes. But those are surface level fixes for a systemic problem. There is a specific technological shift happening right now, a hidden gear in the engine of modern wealth that most people are completely overlooking. Once you activate this gear, the way you handle every dollar changes forever. This isn't about a specific balance in your savings account. It's about reaching the automated intelligence apex. My name is Baron, and I've spent years analyzing the bridge between high-level technology and personal wealth. I'm obsessed with finding the leverage points, the places where a small amount of effort, paired with the right systems, yields a massive, disproportionate result. If you're tired of the generic financial advice that feels like it's from 1995, and you want to understand how to actually use the tools of the future to secure your present, hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Now, before we break down how AI actually manages your money, let's talk about the mental tax. Think about the last time you tried to optimize your budget. You probably sat down with a spreadsheet, downloaded 3 months of CSV files, tried to remember if that $42 charge was for a gift or a grocery run, and by hour 2 you were exhausted. You didn't even get to the strategy part because the data part burned you out. The truth is, humans are historically terrible at tracking microdata over long periods. Our brains weren't built for it. We are built for patterns in survival, not for calculating the compound interest impact of a 0.5% difference in a high-yield savings account versus a standard checking account. This is where the invisible barrier lives. Most people are stuck in what I call manual finance. It's reactive. You wait for the bill to arrive, you pay it, and you hope there's enough left over. It's a constant state of low-level anxiety because you're trying to navigate a complex forest with a handheld flashlight. Crossing the AI integration threshold is like turning on the stadium floodlights. Think about the difference between a pilot in the 1920s and a modern commercial pilot. The 1920s pilot had to manually adjust every flap, monitor every vibration, and guess the weather by looking at the clouds. They were constantly one mistake away from a disaster. A modern pilot uses autopilot not because they are lazy, but because the machine can process 10,000 data points per second, things a human brain can't even perceive. This allows the pilot to focus on the big picture, the route, the safety, and the destination. Most people are still flying their finances like it's 1920. They are manually monitoring every vibration of their bank account. When you transition to an AI-augmented system, you aren't just using an app. You are installing a co-pilot that scans for inefficiencies you physically cannot see. But here's the psychological secret that no one tells you. The real benefit isn't just the money you save. It's the decision capital you regain. Every time you have to think about a bill or wonder if you can afford a purchase, you are spending a piece of your brain's daily energy. By the time you get to a major life decision, like how to negotiate a raise or where to pivot your career, you're already running on empty. When you use AI to handle the micro, you reclaim that energy for the macro. Research into cognitive load shows that financial stress can actually lower your effective IQ by up to 13 points. That's the difference between being average and being gifted. By automating the tracking, the categorization, and the basic forecasting through intelligent agents, you are literally making yourself smarter. You are clearing the mental fog of survival mode. Instead of asking, will I have enough for rent? You start using your AI to run simulations. If I increase my savings by 4% and the market maintains a conservative 7% return, what does my life look like in 5 years? You move from a defensive posture to an offensive one. You've created the information buffer that allows your brain to finally stop worrying about not losing and start focused on how to win. Let's look at the math of the setup tax. Most people avoid these tools because they seem complicated. They think, I don't have time to set up an AI dashboard or train a model on my spending habits. But let's look at the actual timeline. Setting up a manual budget takes about 2 hours a month, every month, forever. Over a year, that's 24 hours of tedious, soul-sucking labor. Setting up an AI-driven system might take you 4 hours of focused work on a Saturday. You have to connect the APIs, set the rules, and define your goals. It feels like more work up front. But by month 3, your maintenance time drops to about 15 minutes. The AI has learned your patterns. It's already flagged the subscription you forgot about. It's already moved your idle cash into a higher yielding account based on your liquidity needs. By the end of year 1, you haven't just saved money, you've saved 20 hours of your life. That is the definition of leverage. You're putting in a fixed amount of effort for an exponentially increasing return. And once that system is running, the acceleration begins. Because the AI doesn't just track, it optimizes. It finds the 1% gains in places you'd never look. And in the world of wealth, those 1% gains, compounded over time, are what separate the people who struggle from the people who thrive. Now that we understand the psychological shift that happens when you cross the AI integration threshold, I want to talk about the execution phase. This is where the theory hits the pavement and where most people get tripped up. Think about the way you currently perceive a single dollar. For most people, a dollar is a unit of consumption. It's a fraction of a coffee, a piece of a subscription, or a tiny slice of a rent payment. When you manage your money manually, you are forced to view your finances through this micro lens because your brain can only handle so much data at once. You see the immediate cost, but you are functionally blind to the multi-year ripple effect. This is the first major execution gap that AI solves, the transition from static tracking to dynamic forecasting. Imagine you are driving a car at night on a dark highway. Your manual budget is like your low-beam headlights. You can see about 20 feet in front of you. You can see the immediate potholes, the upcoming bills, but you have no idea what's around the bend half a mile away. You're constantly reacting to the road as it appears. Using AI for your finances is like switching on high-intensity, long-range thermal imaging. Suddenly, you aren't just looking at this month's rent. You're looking at a probabilistic model of your net worth 3 years from now, adjusted for your current spending velocity. When you use an AI tool, whether it's a specialized financial LLM or a custom-prompted GPT connected to your spreadsheets, to run scenario modeling, the way you make decisions fundamentally alters. Most people ask, can I afford this $2,000 vacation right now? Their bank account says yes, so they buy it. The AI augmented person asks the same question, but the AI responds with, yes, you can afford it today. However, based on your current 4% savings yield and your goal of a house down payment in 2027, this $2,000 expense actually costs you $3,400 in future value and delays your home ownership by exactly 4 months. Do you still want to proceed? That is not just tracking. That is contextual wisdom. It removes the emotional fog and replaces it with objective data. It forces you to confront the opportunity cost of every single decision in real time. This is why people who use these systems seem to magically get ahead faster. They aren't working harder, they are just making fewer blind decisions. But let's talk about the invisible leak phase. This is where the AI starts to pay for itself almost immediately. In the original script structure we're following, there's a period where the initial momentum starts to build, but you haven't quite reached the escape velocity yet. In financial AI terms, this is the audit phase. Every single one of us has financial friction. These are the $10 subscriptions we forgot to cancel, the insurance premiums that crept up by 15% without a notification, and the bank fees that we just accept as a cost of doing business. Individually, they don't move the needle. Collectively, they are a massive anchor on your wealth. A human will almost never find all of these. It's too boring, it's too tedious, but an AI agent thrives on this. You can feed your last 6 months of transactions into a secure analysis tool and ask it one simple prompt. Identify every recurring payment, flag any price increases over the last 90 days, and find 3 alternative service providers for my highest fixed costs. What would take you a full weekend of phone calls and research, the AI does in 45 seconds. I've seen people use this audit phase to recover $200 to $500 a month in lost capital. If you're 25 years old and you redirect that $300 of found money into a broad market index fund with a historical 7% return, that AI-driven audit just added over $700,000 to your retirement nest egg over 40 years. Think about that. One afternoon of setting up an AI audit isn't just saving a few bucks. It is a high leverage move that changes the entire trajectory of your life. Now, let's go deeper into the behavioral firewall. This is perhaps the most underrated part of the AI money management system. We are emotional creatures. We have retail therapy when we're stressed. We have FOMO when our friends buy something shiny. We have panic when the market dips. Our biology is actually hardwired to make terrible financial decisions. AI doesn't have emotions. It doesn't care about your neighbor's new car. It doesn't get scared when a headline says the economy is cooling. When you set up an AI as your financial gatekeeper, you're essentially building an external prefrontal cortex. You can create rules, agents, that act as a buffer between your impulse and your action. For example, I know people who have set up an automated workflow where any purchase over $500 triggers a mandatory 24-hour AI analysis. The AI sends them a text saying, "I see you're looking at a new camera. Based on your current gear usage and your Q4 goals, this purchase will reduce your investment contribution by 15% this month. I've added this to a comparison list with 3 used options that are 40% cheaper. I will unlock the funds for the new one in 22 hours if you still want it." It sounds small, but that friction is what separates the wealthy from the middle class. Wealthy people have systems that prevent them from making stupid mistakes. Most people rely on willpower. And willpower is a finite resource that runs out by 6 p.m. on a Tuesday. By offloading your discipline to an AI system, you are ensuring that your best self is the one making the decisions, even when your stressed self is the one holding the credit card. This leads us to the optimization squeeze. This is the part of the journey where you've cleared the leaks, you've set the forecast, and now you're looking for the 1% gains. In the manual world, finding a 1% better interest rate or a 0.5% lower tax liability feels like a waste of time. It's just a few dollars, you think. But when you cross the AI integration threshold, you realize that in a world of compounding, 1% is everything. AI tools can constantly scan the horizon for arbitrage opportunities. Is there a high-yield account that just raised its rate? The AI knows. Is there a tax loss harvesting opportunity in your portfolio today? The AI knows. Is there a new credit card with a sign-up bonus that perfectly matches your upcoming planned spending? The AI knows. You aren't chasing pennies. You are harvesting efficiency. When you do this manually, the cost of acquisition, all your time, is higher than the reward. It's literally not worth your time to save $40 a year on a better bank account. But when the cost of acquisition is zero because an AI is doing it in the background, every single penny becomes pure profit. This is where the acceleration truly begins. You start to see your money not as a pile of cash, but as a self-optimizing organism. You are no longer the gardener pulling weeds by hand. You are the architect of an automated greenhouse. Your job isn't to sweat. Your job is to monitor the sensors and adjust the climate. But there's a catch. And it's the same catch that people face when they hit that initial $20,000 milestone in the original script. There is a period of calibration. The first month you use AI to manage your money, the data will be messy. The AI will miscategorize your health insurance as entertainment because the name of the company looks weird. It will give you a forecast that looks too optimistic or too dire because it doesn't have enough history yet. This is the valley of disappointment. This is where 90% of people quit. They say, "This AI stuff is overrated, it's not even accurate." And they go back to their messy spreadsheets or, worse, their mental math. But the 10% who stay, the ones who barren viewers are, understand that machine learning requires learning. Every time you correct the AI, it gets 1% smarter. Every month of data you feed it makes the forecast 5% more accurate. If you can survive the first 90 days of calibration, you come out the other side with a tool that knows your financial habits better than you know them yourself. And that is when you realize that the real power of AI isn't just managing your money. It's amplifying your life. Because once the money is handled, truly handled, by a system you trust, you finally have the freedom to stop thinking about money entirely. And ironically, that is the exact moment when you start making the most of it. The AI integration threshold isn't just a technical upgrade, it's a psychological evolution. It is the definitive difference between surviving a financial storm and learning how to use the wind to reach your destination faster. By offloading these machine-like tasks, the tracking, the math, the constant monitoring, to the actual machines, you finally reclaim your humanity. You stop being a passenger in your financial life and you finally start being the pilot. Wealth building isn't just about the numbers on a screen. It's about the massive array of life options those numbers provide. In the age of intelligence, your ability to leverage these tools is the greatest multiplier of freedom you will ever have. If you're ready to master the tools of tomorrow to build real wealth today, hit that subscribe button. Comment below and let me know. What is the one financial task you wish an AI could handle for you right now? I'm Baron, and I'll see you in the next one.